Yeah, this it's yeah, you're making it, yeah. I don't know. I'm learning a lot. It sounds like a lot to deal with. Um
I think
and
what's interesting for you though is you are like from Haiti, like you was
yeah,
born in Haiti,
I was
right?
born and raised. Yeah,
I think also for me is I am Caribbean.
yeah,
But another thing is like I know my parents are always just like try to find more people from the Caribbean to talk to. It's so
yeah,
hard though. The fact that since I was born in America,
yeah.
um
You also
it's
don't
hard.
fit in that category.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't. A lot of people tell
I
me
hear
that
you.
I'm not even Caribbean because I don't speak the language.
Uh,
I don't have the accent. I don't wear maybe like cultural clothing. I may not even know too much about like the food and things like that. So it's sometimes really hard, but then it's like I've visited there a lot of times. I still
yeah,
have keep in contact with my family. My parents are very much so they really love where they're from, Dominica. They absolutely love it. They tell us all about the geography. And it's a very beautiful island. I think another
yeah,
thing is Dominica is such a small island that
yeah,
not a lot of people know about it. It's not, I feel like sometimes people don't even consider it a part of the Caribbean. Not a lot of
yeah,
people know. It's not like
yeah,
Jamaica or Guyana. So it's like
yeah.
having to advocate like Dominica is actually a Caribbean island. I think that's a whole other thing
That's
too,
a
where
whole
it's
other
just
thing.
like, man, I don't even fit in with like,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Caribbean community. So
yeah.
it's hard navigating.
To go back to like this heavy point actually, you feeling like you're not fitting in, and all of this trauma about being a Black woman, this sounds like it's taking like a heavy toll on your mental health. So, and I'll say it in every interview I'm having, and the reason why I feel so strongly about it is because I recently like came to the realization that there's nothing more important, well, after God, there's nothing more important than your mental health. And COVID-19 made me realize that because I had a lot of little crisis. So how do you deal with all of this, you know, constant trauma, and what do you do for to keep your mental health, on point?
Yeah, I think after like being in college and facing like a lot of traumatic experiences, I think it was maybe last year where I started getting a lot of feedback from people where I need to start looking into like therapy and things like that. And that's when I actually found out that I did have depression and I did have anxiety.
Mhm.
Um, and just learning just about, the impacts of depression and anxiety, and then also just experiencing it, I soon realized how important it is to actually get my mental health in check. Before I used to just be like, oh no, yeah, like just focus on academics. You don't have time for going to a counselor. There's also this stigma within at least I don't know if it's like just the Black community or at least the Caribbean community. I do know there is like that stigma of like going to therapy and it being deemed as like really bad and things
It's
like that.
both. Like I think it's in the Black community, but in the Caribbean community, it's even worse. Like if I would
Yeah.
tell, I know that a few years ago, if I would tell my mom, "Hey, I'm going to therapy," she'd start praying so
Mm,
much
yep.
because she would think I'm crazy. Yeah, yeah. So no, it's definitely something that I'm finding that I have to kind of like teach them, the older generation about it, about like, hey, you go to therapy even when you're feeling okay. It can be like preventative therapy. Like there's nothing wrong about going to therapy, but yeah, it's a mixture of both for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I started going to that, I actually stopped going just because I realized also you really have to find a really good therapist. And if not, that can also just be just as detrimental.
Hmm.
So then
Hmm.
I turned more into like my spiritual faith. So I did grow up in a church, but I started losing faith. And then over time, I was just like, you know what? No, I have to get a better relationship with God. I know my mom's always telling me about that. So I started praying. I started going to more Bible study groups, and that helped a lot.
Hmm.
I decided to also start going back to things that I actually love doing. So
Hmm.
I started dancing when I was 8 years old, and then I stopped.
Yeah.
So I'm not in a dance team anymore, but I do
Yeah.
try to look up different videos, like contemporary videos of ballet videos, and try to, bring that back up, going to Zumba classes. I
Yeah.
also started reading again, which is again something that I love.
Yeah.
Um, just finding those little breaks to actually start focusing. Like I actually really schedule in time to I have a mental health at least hour. Like, okay, let's journal. I'm starting to journal.
That's very good.
Or let's go to the gym. So I'm trying to be more um what is it? More assertive or
Yeah.
more diligent with taking care of my mental health.
Yeah. No, it's perfect answer. I actually started to journal recently too. I was having one of my I never struggle with mental health related issues really until COVID. And until I started this PhD. So I guess I was having one of my crises. I didn't even realize it. And my brother was visiting. And then before he left, he just gave me a journal. It was like, I think it would be good if you started journaling. And I was like, it must be bad, right? So I started journaling recently too. I started going to therapy, which I should be a bit more diligent about. Yeah, because like you said, it's important to find like a good therapist, right? And I'm not I just started. So I think I scheduled my first visit, I went, and then the second time the therapist was like, hey, I'm sick, so we're gonna have to reschedule online. And I was like, yeah, sure, let's do it. And then I never heard from them. But then I didn't follow up again. So it's you have to find you're good. I've seen people go to therapy and then it being worse than before. So you have to find someone who can actually understand where you're coming from, right? The same way we're talking about how, being Black sometimes affects, your career, it can also affect your therapy session. If the person has no idea what you're talking about, hey, listen, I'm being discriminated against, and this is painful, and they're like, no, you're not being discriminated against. That can have the opposite effect of what you want it to have. But yeah, you're touching on a lot of very good points.
I love these questions. They're great.
Yeah. With the knowledge you have now, would you pick the same major / career, or would you pick something else if you could start over? Like if it's 4 years, 5 years ago.
I think I would definitely still keep the same major and career. I think with psychology, I'm learning so much the biology aspect. I'm learning about the social aspect. So I really love the intermingling within the subject. And I also love that it can be something that can be so relatable and I can put myself into. The same thing with medicine. I love the advancements of medicine. I love being able to go to a patient, talk to them, and not just it being about whatever medical thing that they're going through, but having that conversation, having that relationship with them. I think the only difference is probably doing more research beforehand. I think would help because now I'm trying to play catch up. So probably just going in with some more research, and then also maybe minoring in a field that I'm also interested in. So dance, I really wish that I did something that was out of the box because I had this perception that everyone had to be a bio major or a psych major to do things. So I definitely wish I did something that was different and something that I like to do to be incorporated in. So I think that's the only thing I would probably switch.
Yeah, I really strongly relate to you on this point. I know I tried to minor in computer science. Not because I have any interest in computer science, just because I wanted to be the most competitive, person graduating, right? I'm majoring in chemical engineering, which is already known to be very hard, and I would minor in computer science. I hated it so much. I hated it. And I didn't finish it. I just dropped it at some point. I hated it. And I think computational skills, you don't have to minor in computer science to get them. They're important to have nowadays in your career for sure, but you can always go to a boot camp, do something. But minoring in computer science, it was the worst thing. And I wish I had the same clarity that you're talking about to do things. I like playing sports. I like, having fun and all these things. I wish I just took the time to do these little things. And like you said before, it's even good for your mental health. So I wish I had. Now I'm doing that a little bit more. I started playing tennis again. I joined soccer teams to play, and and I'm doing this. This is very important to me. And it's it's not for a grade. It's not gonna help me do anything. It's just, it matters. I always enjoyed doing things like that. And I just, since I came to the US, everything is so fast paced that I never had the time to sit down and actually do something I enjoy for no reason whatsoever. Everything had to be for a specific goal. So yeah, this is again this is gonna be an awesome video to post. Once we get to the end of the interview, I like to ask people where they see themselves in like short term and long term. Short term can be like the next few months, the next year, and then long term can be 5 to 10 years. Because my goal is to, if you have time, of course, do a follow-up interview with you at some point to see how are things going, like how did did it go as planned, and just to follow up. So what are your short-term and long-term plans?
So my short-term plan is definitely to graduate by May. I definitely want to be able to, I definitely want to, walk across the ceremony. I'm hoping that it's going to be in person. So fingers crossed that it is in person, so I can actually experience my first like actual college graduation.
Yeah.
I also do want to travel. That has been something on my bucket list, that I want to travel to either new state or city or even country at least one time per year. So I definitely want to be out of the US, hopefully somewhere.
I'm right there with you. And actually, like, I've been talking about this so much. I think it would be amazing. And if you're ever in Dominica at some point when I'm starting to travel, maybe I should go like at a time where you're there, because I like visiting places where I know somebody there, because I'm still a little paranoid. But yeah, that's a good goal. Yeah.
And then for my long-term goals, it's definitely, I want to be in medical school. I'm not too sure where I want to be. I know I'm interested in the Albert Einstein School. So maybe I'll be there, but I am keeping my options open. Hopefully I can get a scholarship. And yeah, just practicing. I do want to continue to grow my platform a little bit more. So doing more talks like what you're doing. Definitely want to continue helping nonprofit organizations. And then, yeah.
Very cool.
Maybe be in a relationship.
Very cool. Talking about your platform, is there anything you'd like to plug in? Like, what is your platform? What's the name? Where do you post your videos?
Yeah, I do want to plug in. So I am also doing the same thing as Jonathan, which I think is actually really, really cool. But it's actually on Instagram. It's called Caged Bird Songs on Instagram. The actual series is called Songs of the Caged Bird, where I just come and talk to different people in different marginalized groups. So I have a lot of Black women now. I talk to a lot of I'm trying to also get some Black men on there. So hopefully Jonathan's going to be on there.
Yes, please. I can't wait.
People from the LGBTQ community, things like that. And then we just have different topics of discussion about things that people try not to talk about. So mental health. I once talked to one of my close friends who actually faced bipolar disorder. We're talking about family barriers. And it's just a platform to be able to provide resources, but also comfort of community where people can actually feel that their voices matter, especially within these groups where their voices are oftentimes suppressed. And just to also just give credit to the people who actually inspired me to do this. It was definitely Taraji P. Henson with her Peace of Mind talks, Jada Pinkett Smith with Red Table Talk, Michelle Obama, who I absolutely love. So in case Michelle Obama, if you ever do watch this, I absolutely love you.
Yeah, no, she's amazing.
And then also from my honor society called the National Leadership Society that I'm a part of, where we actually had to look at different speaker broadcasts. So definitely go ahead, check that out. It's on Instagram. I love talking to different people and just learning about their stories and just being able to provide that level of comfort, like what you're talking about, knowing that, hey, like one person's going through the same thing and you may be facing that. So how can you overcome that? So
yeah, that's an amazing idea. And I'll definitely figure out a way to plug it in, put a link somewhere. If it's not on the video somewhere, because I'm just learning how to edit. If it's not on the video somewhere, it will be down in the description. But again, thank you so much for making time for me today on a Sunday. I know you could have better things to do. I really appreciate you. We talked for almost an hour now, and that's like, it was all good the whole time. I had a lot of fun, and we're definitely gonna have to have you back on this. I'm calling it a podcast right now. I don't know if it's podcast style, but this is my goal. So we'll definitely have to have you back on this podcast, the Start of Success podcast. I think you're gonna do great in the future. You definitely have the right mindset and everything. So I can't wait to catch up with you in a few years or even next year and see where
Yeah.
how things are going. So thanks
Thank you
again.
so thank you so much for having me. I actually had so much fun, and honestly, I just love this platform that you're doing. I think all the people that you have on bring so much to the conversations. Like everyone can learn from it. So honestly, thank you for starting this. I think this is such a great platform, and then having a perspective from like a Black man it's honestly amazing. And I don't know, it just feels so comfortable talking to you.
Yeah, same here, same here. And
So I
like
love this.
yeah, but like we were talking about before, you know how we have to make our own like support system. This is the goal for this. Like we're just gonna create our own support system. Nobody wants to support us. That's fine. We'll do it ourselves.
Mhm.
We've always done. Um, so yeah, hopefully we can talk again soon.
Yes, thank you.